Thank you. It is a great honor and pleasure for me to be presenter here. Thank you, organizer, for inviting me. I am a cardiologist, cardiac electrophysiologist, and my field of work is to treat cardiac arrhythmias in invasive method and also in non-invasive. So let's go to next slide. You know this key information about the obesity. That obesity is a growing problem over the world. Its prevalence is increasing in both developed and not developed countries. And you know that numerous studies demonstrated a relationship between obesity and cardiovascular diseases like coronary disease, acute myocardial infarction, heart failure. I would like to focus on cardiac arrhythmias and sudden cardiac death. And there are many types of arrhythmias linked with obesity, like atrial fibrillation, ventricular arrhythmias, ventricular premature beats, ventricular tachycardia, and the most serious, sudden cardiac death. In 4th century, Hippocrates concluded that sudden death is more common in these who are naturally fat than in the lean. Atrial fibrillation, I started with atrial fibrillation topic because it's the most frequent and very clinically important. What is atrial fibrillation? Atrial fibrillation is a kind of arrhythmia characterized by a rapid and irregular beating of the atrial chambers of the heart. During the normal rhythm is named sinus. The electrical impulse starts in the sinoatrial node located in the right atrium and spreads down through the conduction system to the ventricle, and the rhythm is regular. But atrial fibrillation is a completely irregular rhythm with many arrhythmic foci located in the atria, especially in left atrium. So the rhythm is chaotic, irregular, and the patient feels heart palpitations. Prevalence of atrial fibrillation typically increase with the age. So at the age 60 plus, 1 in 25 person has atrial fibrillation, but at the age 80 plus, this increased to nearly 1 in 10. And the prognosis for the future is not good because the total number of persons affected with this arrhythmia is still increasing. Why this arrhythmia is clinically important? Because there are many serious events associated with atrial fibrillation, like increased mortality, especially cardiovascular mortality due to sudden death, heart failure, stroke. 20 to 30% of all strokes are due to atrial fibrillation, and often the stroke is a first symptom of atrial fibrillation. 10 to 40% of atrial fibrillation patients are hospitalized every year for different reasons like heart failure or stroke. Quality of life is impaired in atrial fibrillation patient. Left ventricular dysfunction is found in 20 to 30% of all atrial fibrillation patients, and also this arrhythmia leads to congestive decline and vascular dementia as a result of brain-wide matter lesions. There are many data confirming that obesity is associated with incidence of atrial fibrillation independent of the gender and age also. On this slide, you can see the meta-analysis in 16 studies, and all of these studies confirm that there's a higher incidence of atrial fibrillation in the patient with the obesity. So the total risk of obesity of atrial fibrillation is 1.45%, and increase in body mass index on 1 point increase the risk of arrhythmia by 4%. Pathomechanism of atrial fibrillation in obese patient is very complex, and many factors which have influence from this. So obesity leads to left atrial dilatation, to epicardial fat accumulation, increase the proarrhythmic concentration of adipocytokines, and also comorbidities often present with obesity, like hypertension, diabetes, sleep apnea, or coronary atherosclerosis, a cause of heterogeneity of atrial conduction, and finally lead to atrial fibrillation. So the pathomechanism is multifactorial. Oh, this is my favorite slide presenting the color map, electroanatomic map, which is created during ablation of the atrial fibrillation. I explained this is very easy. This anterior view with green eyes and the posterior view, and this is a map of left atrium. When we introduce the special electrode to the heart, we can create this map. And this map shows you a voltage potentials in the left atrium. So the healthy part of the atrium has a voltage over 0.5 millivolt. It's a marked pink, but low voltage area are marked with the green colors. So this is a relatively healthy person with a low voltage area only present here and here. So it's very easy to ablate this patient, eliminate these regions responsible for the originating of the arrhythmia. We create the special lines using a high radio frequency energy to isolate these regions with low potentials. For comparison, is different patient, obese patient, and you see that the left atrium looks completely different. There are many red areas which represent the low voltage. It's a result of the left atrial fibrosis. So it's very difficult to ablate such patient because it's very difficult to isolate these big parts of the left atrium. Here you can see the after ablation, picture after ablation. This dots, this balls shows the line which is created for eliminating regions responsible for arrhythmia. In this case, it's very difficult to create the lines to eliminate all these regions. Obesity also leads to the low-grade inflammation. Low-grade inflammation is a proarrhythmic factor, increased concentration of C-reactive proteins, interleukin C, tumor necrosis factor alpha, tumor growth factor beta, leptin, gives a proarrhythmic effects and also cause the atrial fibrosis. Other factor very important and associated with the obesity is sleep apnea. Significant sleep apnea is present in 40% of obese individuals, and approximately 70% of sleep apnea patients are obese. And this is a very important factor. By sympathetic activation, vagal stimulation, systemic inflammation, left atrial enlargement, obstructive sleep apnea triggers cardiac arrhythmias, not only atrial fibrillation, but different types of cardiac arrhythmias. As you can see, there are many publications shows sleep apnea leads to sinus arrest, bradyarrhythmias, conductions problems, atrial fibrillation, of course, complex ventricular ectopy, ventricular tachycardia, and so on. Treatment of obese patient and also other patient with atrial fibrillation should be focused not only for the arrhythmic treatment, but we should treat coexisting diseases like hypertension, hyperlipidemia, and also eliminate the other factors predisposing to atrial fibrillation like sleep apnea, alcohol abuse, smoking, physical inactivity, and eliminate the obesity. So the target BMI should be below 27. In the previous year, 2021, in Europace has been published a result of the SORT-HF study. It was the first randomized study focused on the patient with the obesity, qualified for the atrial fibrillation ablation. And this patient first have a sleep apnea screening, of course, ergometry, echocardiography, and implantation of implanted loop recorder. Is a special device which is implanted subcutaneously. Oh, I cannot. One moment. It looks like this. You know, a small USB stick is implanted subcutaneously, and this device can monitor the rhythm for the whole time up to 3 years. And in this case, using this device, all episodes, atrial fibrillation episodes and other arrhythmias can be detected. So after ablation atrial fibrillation, the patient has been randomized to the intervention group with a nutrition advice and a strict physical training program, and other control group with the usual care, and follow-up was after 3, 6, and 12 months. And the result shows that in the intervention group, average reduction of weight was 4.6 kilograms. In control group also a slightly reduction, 2 kilograms. There was no significant difference between groups atrial fibrillation recurrence in the primary intention to treat, but ancillary analysis showed reduced atrial fibrillation burden associated with BMI reduction. What is interesting, in the group with the intervention, group with the advice, nutrition advice, group the physical activity, the percentage of non-compliance was 35%. So it's very difficult to reach weight reduction, even in such control study. So effect of risk factor management for atrial fibrillation recurrence is crucial. Even without the specific antiarrhythmic treatment, reduction risk factor management leads to reduced atrial fibrillation symptoms, reduced atrial fibrillation burden, and less need for ablation. But ablation alone, without changing of the lifestyle, decrease the atrial fibrillation ablation success and increase need for repeat ablation. Ventricular arrhythmias and sudden cardiac death in obesity, I know. The Framingham Health study shows that the annual sudden cardiac mortality rate for obese subjects was nearly 40 times higher than the matched non-obese population. And in the middle-aged victims of sudden cardiac arrest, obesity and obstructive sleep apnea closely related to obesity was identified as an independent predictor of sudden cardiac death. In autopsy series of non-ischemic sudden cardiac death victims, cardiomyopathy related to obesity was reported to be responsible for nearly a quarter of these cases, and obese patients were documented to have a higher rate of ventricular arrhythmia and sudden cardiac event in the absence of cardiac dysfunction. There are different pathophysiological mechanisms correlating obesity and ventricular arrhythmias, like structural remodeling, ventricular myocardium, myocardial fibrosis, inhomogeneous ventricular repolarization, altered function of voltage-dependent potassium channel, and autonomic dysregulation. All of them leads to the serious ventricular arrhythmias. You probably ask me about the obesity paradox. It's this interesting topic. There's some data that the obesity improve prognosis in patients with cardiac diseases. Of course, to be honest, there are such data. For example, the RC study indicated that overweight patients with BMI 25 to 30 and obese patient with atrial fibrillation exhibited reduced risk of overall mortality, cardiac death, and lower composite risk of stroke or systemic embolism or acute myocardial infarction and all-cause mortality than patients with normal BMI. And also the ORBIT HF study, for example, found a 35 reduction in all-cause mortality in patients with class 1 obesity. And also obesity paradox in sudden cardiac arrest also exists, but obesity doesn't prevent the sudden cardiac death, of course, but several studies demonstrated that sudden cardiac arrest victims with higher BMI was associated with better survival outcomes. And probably higher BMI may confer better nutritional reserves, which is the setting of sudden exposure to the severe inflammatory and metabolic stress during the sudden cardiac death may translate into better survival outcomes. There are also such data. Let me sum up. Excess weight and obesity are associated with increased risk of supra and ventricular arrhythmias. This is a consequence not only obesity, but on the other hand is associated comorbidities like hypertension, diabetes, coronary disease, and sleep apnea. And considering the increased cardiovascular risk, the regular screening and control of this patient is important for the early diagnosis and treatment of subclinical medical conditions. This is my slide with my clinic with EP laboratory where I work every day and with my colleague who perform ablation of the atrial fibrillation. And you can see that the patient is not obese, so the success rate probably will be high for this procedure. Thank you for your attention.